So Galen, you remember before COVID when we could actually do
real ministry? Yeah, do real ministry.
Yeah.
Was it February?
I think it was around February.
This room. I won't forget it. Like when you said FCA, bringing it in after I grew up in FCA, I was like, finally someone that gets the big picture. And that Maplewood, was it Maplewood?
It was Maplewood High School.
So who called you?
The principal of Maplewood High School called and said that they were having some issues just with some gang violence and some things that were going on in their school. And she called one day, and out of all people, she called FCA, and she said, I need somewhere to send them. And you may not know this whole story, but being the leader that you are and the church that you are, I called your youth pastors.
Yeah.
And they said, we'll open up the church for Maplewood to come here. So we bring them here, and you know the rest of the story. We bring them here, we have leadership for them.
I walked in and I was like, what the heck is going on? Because when we started our relationship, you're like, hey, I will bring people here, I'll get people here to the church, and you have resources, we've got resources, let's do this. And so I walked into the gym and there was like all these kids playing games, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And Caleb's up there, our youth pastor, and he's like, you and this team, and I'm like, yeah. Okay, we're having a youth day. And then I see Erica and I see all the FCA workers, and I'm like, oh, FCA. And then I remember later that day I walked in and I was in that booth right there. I remember when they said, who wants to follow the greatest leader of all time? And like 21 kids were like, I was like, 21 kids just got saved in a moment just because a school asked FCA to make a difference in there. Yeah. And a church said, hey, we'll be with you on it. It's one of the best days of this year. It's probably the best day of 2020 because 2020 could go away.
Well, we need some great days in 2020. But the truth of that is we want to make a disciple of every coach and every athlete in Middle Tennessee. I mean, that's what we want to do. I mean, we want every single one of them walking in a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. And the only way that we can do that is through partnerships with guys like you. And that day, that was a picture of what we wanted. That's a small picture of the big picture. So what do you see? Like,
I think for me, it was like, why are we reinventing the wheel? Churches are trying to get on school campuses. FCA is already on school campuses. So why would we not go with FCA? And when you said, I will take you to the school and I will take the school to you, I think that day was the day, beyond the character coaches and the people that are investing around town, that was the day that it became a reality that these kids are not just having Jesus at school, they're now connected into the greater body of Christ on location at a local church. And for the first time, I actually saw the body working together.
I knew that I needed you. I knew that I needed the church. First off, Jesus is coming back for his bride. FCA is not Jesus's bride, the church is. So that should be our passion, is to get kids into the church. And so for us to be able to partner with you guys and join forces with us, get kids in here, see them give their lives to Christ, and now be able to walk in that relationship with Jesus is amazing.
It's not rocket science for a church.
Yeah.
You have a location, you've got people, you've got resources. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to say, here you go, FCA, and you're faithful, kingdom-minded to say, here's the return.
Hey guys, so I'm Scott Cooper with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I have been a pastor. This is my buddy, Galen Davis. He's the pastor of Cornerstone Church, and I'd just like you to hear his thoughts on his partnership with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Hey, my fellow pastors that are watching this, when Scott left the pastoral field to become the Middle Tennessee director, he called me and said, we got to do something different. We have to do something different. FCA cannot stand alone as a parachurch organization. It has to feed the body of Christ. And we've been separate for far too long. And I said, finally, because as a pastor, we desire to be on school campuses. Well, we know that window has closed, that window is very narrow, and that there's one Christian organization that makes the biggest difference on school campuses, and that is Fellowship of Christian Athletes. So it is a no-brainer. People say, let's reinvent the wheel, and it's like, why? Let's just better the wheel. And the betterment of this wheel is when churches partner with FCA, because FCA is now partnering with churches. What does that mean? It means we have a building, we have resources, we have people. They have the door, they have the access, and they have the model. And so when we came together, it didn't just benefit FCA with our resources, but they started bringing people to our church, and we started seeing growth. And so we saw souls being saved, we saw people being added to the kingdom, and we saw relationships that they've spent years building on campuses flourish as we've now connected to our local schools. So if you miss this moment, you're missing what I believe is one of the final opportunities in our nation to keep the gospel on campuses. And if you want to be a part of the gospel in our education system. This is the only way to do it, my friends. So get with FCA.